Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Dr. Angela Reeves joining us. Excited to have her back here today. And I know we're going to get into a great conversation. We're going to talk a little about self-care and so much more. But first and foremost, Dr. Angela, please introduce yourself to everyone to start.
Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Reeves, and I am the founder and CEO of website drangela.mreeves.com, and there's where you will find a lot of different resources as well as services that we provide to help people be better.
Beautiful.
In short, yeah.
I know there's a lot more to that. You're the founder and CEO as well of AMR Educational and Program Consultants. You're from Davison, Michigan. And how can we contact you?
You can contact me at Angela M. Reeves 123 at gmail.com.
Perfect. And I mean, the work you've done, we talked so much how you're helping people with life skill courses, coaching, so many different staff development programs with businesses. There's also you're working with adults, with youths to help them as well. There's a lot to you. Where did you want to start for today?
Well, I thought that we could start talking a little bit about some foundational pieces for therapy. I think sometimes people are very concerned. I mean, a lot of the mystique out of therapy has been dismantled by so many celebrities going to and seeking therapy and benefiting from it. So I thought one of the things that we could talk about today, I had two topics in mind, that and the foundations, and also self-care, because I think both are important. And the relationship between the two is that if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't do the things that keep us healthy and fully functioning, then we're going to need some therapy, aren't we?
We sure are. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all
Nothing wrong with
could
it.
use, absolutely, absolutely. I'm a proponent of that. And I really feel like you mentioned with celebrities out there, and what happened with the pandemic, it just became more universal to talk about it. And it's okay.
Right. And one of the great things that happened with the pandemic is we got the okay virtual to do telehealth, mental health. Yeah. And so that's really a wonderful thing. It really is, because before that, telehealth was kind of frowned upon.
Yep.
Now it's more the norm, and the pandemic is what made that happen. Yeah. So all of that's good.
And it's always good to take care of ourselves. And I know that's one thing we tend to lack, right?
It is.
Self-care is what it's called.
Self-care. So let me talk a little bit about the foundational pieces.
Sure.
With therapy. And these are universal, okay? A good therapist is always, always, always going to follow these foundational pieces. And the first, and probably, well, all of them are important, but the one thing that a lot of people are afraid of is that whatever they tell the therapist is going to tell other people. And so what we're talking about is confidentiality. So confidentiality means that we have the responsibility of serving our client and helping our client. And that's a very privileged communication. And so we are not to share that information with anyone unless two conditions apply. And that first condition is if they are a danger to themselves or someone else. And the second is if they're a danger to a child. So in both of those situations, we have a duty to protect the client from unintended consequences. Does that make sense?
It sure does. Yeah.
Okay. And so then the next pillar, I like to call them pillars, is unconditional acceptance. That means, in most relationships, there's a quid pro quo. You do this for me, then I do that for you. In this relationship, and it is a relationship, the only responsibility is for me as your therapist to accept you without any conditions. None.
Yep.
Okay? It's unlike any other kind of relationship. And then the third pillar is a non-judgmental attitude. So no matter what is brought up in the therapy session, there is no judgment. This is one of the safest environments you're ever going to find. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yes? No? Yes. Okay, you're nodding. So
Yes, I said yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then I like to talk about the color of education. Not what every therapist talks about, although a lot do, right? But I'm just convinced that a lot of people get in trouble because they don't have the tools or the skills or the ability to navigate some of the difficult issues and places in life. And that's not their fault. They've just never been taught. So they've not been equipped to be able to deal with those things. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of what many of us do is really those skills, give them tools and problem-solving strategies.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope that helps break down the mystique. Therapy is one of the safest places you can be. It really is. Nobody's going out talking about you. Nobody's sitting there judging you. Nobody's saying, well, you have to do this if I'm going to accept you. No, none of that is going on. None of that is going on. So I think that's really important. So let's talk a little bit about self-care. A lot of times we think we're being selfish if we start doing things for ourselves. But you can't pour from an empty cup or an empty pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, when you're on a plane and you get the announcement, if we say, you need to secure your oxygen on your face, and adults take care of you before you take care of a child. It's the same principle. It really is. Okay. So what does that really mean? Well, what that means is that you take some time to give you some help, right? That means like paying attention to how long you're sleeping, paying attention to how much water you drink. There are only 3 things we absolutely must have if we are to live. Can you guess what they are? Giving you a couple of hints.
Well, I know food and water.
Food is not essential to life.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Like a
People
breatharian.
always say, but no, most of us have enough body fat on us to be able to live for quite a while.
Okay. So water?
Water.
Love?
Absolutely.
Do we need love? Human touch or?
No.
No.
Essential for human life. Okay, I'm not going to do that to you. Okay. So it's water.
Yeah.
It's water. It's
Air.
oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay, yeah, breath.
Oxygen, and it's sleep.
Wow.
Sleep deprivation is the number 1 cause of automobile accidents, bar drinking or anything else. Most people in this country report sleep issues. There is a reason why your doctor always asks you, how are you sleeping? Because it's really essential to life. And if you go without sleep for too long, you can actually develop a psychosis where you're hearing things and you're seeing things. Think about it like this. Why is sleep so essential? When we sleep, that's the only time the organs in our bodies get any rest. When we're awake, everything is functioning at full speed, right? Doesn't that just make sense? And so if we're not getting adequate rest, then our body doesn't have, organs within our body don't have the opportunity, and the muscles too, to really regroup and rest and just, replenish itself, right? Everything needs rest, right? So it's something like 70% of people in the United States report they have sleep issues. There is a reason why we have so many sleep apps available to us, so many medications available to us to take so that we can get the sleep, get the rest that we need. I hope that makes sense.
And what is that? No, this is where it confuses me because you always hear 8 hours of sleep. Then you hear geniuses only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep, like Albert Einstein. Is everybody's body different, or is
It
it
is.
true where where you
It
have to
is.
sleep a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
And I don't know about all these levels, but there's, you have to get to certain sleep levels to be
Right.
okay. And I guess that's different for everyone.
Right.
Could you give
REM
us
and
like
all of that. Yeah.
the basic about how much sleep we do need?
Yeah. It's really an independent kind of variable. It really matters how much is needed for the individual. So how do you know what that number is? I suggest that people go to bed at night, at a reasonable time. Don't set an alarm. Do it like on the weekend or days off, and see what time you awaken. And a lot of times we'll wake up, feel really good, but then we think, I got the day off, I'm going back to sleep. But we were ready to
Yeah.
sleep. Now we just want to add some more
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of build up our sleep reservoir. Okay. So that's a real issue. And again, it's a problem that a lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that people talk about, right? So water, when you think about water, yeah, we need water. All living things need water. Plants need water. Animals need water. Everything, if it's alive, it needs water. How much water?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Good question. Yeah, how much?
what's recommended is a half an ounce for every pound of weight you are. So if you're 150 pounds, then that means you need 75 ounces of water daily.
Okay.
Okay. And so, what you'll see is people who are really hydrated and everything looks good on them. Their skin is beautiful. Everything is just really, really great and wonderful about them. Then you see people who live on coffee, and you see that they have skin eruptions, or parts of their skin starts peeling, right? And it's because they don't have enough water in their body. Lotions can never replace water.
Mm-hmm.
Never replace water. I had a student years ago who would scratch herself to the point where she bled, on her arms, right? And she would put all of these creams on. I'm like, how much water do you drink? Well, I don't like water. Okay, you need to find some water that you like, because all the lotion in the world isn't going to take care of their skin. The skin is the largest organ of our body.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like to think about skin as an organ, but it is. It's the largest organ of our body. And its job is to do what? I'm not going to do that to you. Is to release toxins. Okay. And so, that very well. What are we doing when we're sweating, when we're perspiring? That's toxins coming out of our body.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing because we don't need those toxins to stay in our body. They need to come
True.
out.
Yep.
So, whatever way gets them out is the best way. Is that helpful? I hope.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Now, we also
So,
have to remind everyone quickly how we can contact you, please.
oh, okay. Okay, again, that's Angela M. Reeves 123 at gmail.com. You can also go to my website, and that is DRANGELAMREEVES.com. And that's going to allow you to complete a contact us form. And on that form, you can just type in your information, tell us what you want to know, and we'll get right back with you.
Got it.
We try
Perfect.
to respond within 24 to 48 hours, no more than 24. But if it stretches to 48, we just got really super busy.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't able to. So bear with us if that happens, please.
Sure, sure.
So, okay. So, you know that recently a lot of people have died from asthma. We've seen that happen. I have asthma, and I've had some challenges with that. I never understood asthma because I'm the first person in my family to ever have asthma. We
Yep.
didn't know anything about it. Nobody knew what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
They just knew I was having trouble breathing.
Ah,
But it really pointed out to me the importance of oxygen. And when you see people having panic attacks, it's because they don't have enough oxygen. And the problem here is that our mind is everything for us.
yep.
Whatever we think is what we do. We don't just spontaneously do something. We think it first, then we do it. Oh, that's okay. And so when we start getting anxious, the
That's one.
body responds to that. We start experiencing stress, the body responds to that. How does it respond? Well, we start getting, our throat starts getting tight. And then, we start breathing into our chest, and then we're breathing into our throat. And then we're hyperventilating in and out, in and out, in and out. And then it feels like we're having a heart attack. But it's really a panic attack. And it's because we're not getting enough oxygen. And I don't want to belabor this. I just want people to understand what's going on when that happens. And that is that when we breathe in the oxygen and it gets deposited into our lungs, the red blood cells carry that oxygen everywhere that it goes. And so that means it's going into our joints, it's going into our organs, it's into our muscles, wherever it goes, it's going into our brain, it's going everywhere the blood goes, oxygen goes too. So when we are in and out, in and out, in and out, panic attack, everything in the body starts screaming, where is my oxygen? Right? Because it needs it. So breathing is just so very, very important. And there are techniques to help manage the stress. Maybe we can talk about that another time. But that's really very, very important. So I want to scoot over to self-care because we don't have a lot of time left. We talked about sleep and oxygen and what's that other thing? Come on, Jill, help me. Water.
Oxygen.
Water.
The
Oxygen,
hydration.
sleep, and water.
Yep.
Gotta have it. Can't live without it. Can't live without oxygen, sleep, and water. I see you sipping your water. You know.
Yes, it's tea. But
You
yes,
know.
it's still
You
water. And
know.
I got this here. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when we talk about self-care, that means that I am getting enough rest. I am getting enough water. I am being nurturing to myself. Because if I don't give myself some me time, then it's hard to pour from an empty pitcher.
Yeah.
It's hard to respond to other people's needs and wants that are important in our lives when we don't have what we need or want. And all of us tend to exist in relationships with others. A lot of times it's family, a lot of times it's friends, sometimes it's relatives or distant relatives, but we all exist in those relationships. And sometimes those relationships can get to be a bit toxic.
Yeah.
Sometimes those relationships put more of a burden on us. And this is when we start talking about boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so there are some boundaries, and we don't talk about this very often, which is why it's a problem. Because we think if somebody asks us a question, we have to give them an answer, and the answer has to be true. A very, very dear friend of mine years ago said, and I've never forgotten it because it's really true. There's a good reason, and then there's the real reason. Everybody doesn't deserve to know the real reason. They just need a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that I thought was so powerful. I really did. Because we are raised to tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, which means that most of us overshare. Overshare. And that's problematic because everybody doesn't deserve to know
Yeah.
everything about us. Sometimes they'll use that information to create a problem for us. Sometimes they'll use that information to harm us.
Yeah.
So when we share information about ourselves, we need to be very clear that that person is not going to abuse the privilege of receiving our information because it is a privilege. Everybody doesn't get to know everything about everyone. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So boundaries are don't you no, we're not going to talk about that today. Or
Okay. We
we're
got
not going to
three
talk about
minutes
that.
left. I don't know if we can fit it all in. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not going to fit it all in, but
No.
because these are big topics, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to understand that it is reasonable to have boundaries, that adults need boundaries.
Yep.
There are some areas that everyone just doesn't need to know. And
Uh-huh.
nor should it be that when somebody gets into trouble, you're the first person they call because they know you're
You're
going
the
to bail them
fixer.
out.
You're the uh-huh.
Okay, you're going to fix it all. You're going to take care of it, and they don't have to worry about a thing. And the
So
only
true.
question arises is, when do they learn how to take care of themselves?
Good point. You're right.
Yeah, because there will come a time when maybe you're not going to be there to help them. What will they do then?
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about older adults with younger adults, right? So how do they learn to take care of their responsibilities in a responsible way? Right. So that is part of the boundaries. Okay. I was talking with a relative once, and he said everybody wants to be rich. He's very wealthy.
Uh-huh.
Everybody wants to be rich.
True.
He
Yeah,
said,
go ahead.
but there are all kinds of problems that come along with being rich because everybody wants something from you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to figure out whether that something would be helpful or harmful, not only for them, but for you.
Ooh, good one.
You don't want, as another relative said, you don't want to go to the well too often.
No. Very, very
So
true.
boundaries are really important. That boundaries can be about time, it can be about money, it can be about goods and services,
It
it can be
could.
about a lot of different things. But none of us can be the be all and everything for
Mm-hmm.
everyone in our lives.
It's
None of
so
us can
true.
do that,
Nope.
So the boundaries are important. Self-care is also important. Self-care takes in 21 different components to self-care. And we've only touched on a couple of them.
Sure.
This is a big topic. It's a big topic. So I will be loading a freebie on my website for
Yay.
people to download, and they can go to that website and just put in their information. And I've got other resources already in the downloadable section of the website, the page of the website. And I'll be loading that on again today, more on today. I try to get them loaded on Monday so that the rest of the week people can look for them. For
Yep.
new pieces.
Perfect.
Right? Try to do at least one a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do more, but mostly I try to do one a week.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
So that'll be
Thank
available
you.
tomorrow. Thank you.
How do we reach you again? Tell everyone. I'm sorry, we're out of time.
Angela M. Reeves 123 at gmail.com.
Perfect. And website?
Website is DRANGELAMREEVES.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, everyone.
Thank you, Jill. It's
Thank you.
always lovely to talk with you.
Same here. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming right up after the break. And again, don't go anywhere.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.